to the Andy Mazo Show. What's going on, all you gangsters and gangstats? Welcome to show number 8, baby, as my friends from the South would say, Ocho. That's right, you can find us top 25% performing podcast in North America, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. Google us, YouTube us, you'll find us. I want to thank everybody for listening. This show is brought to you by Busch Light. Busch Lattes. Feel Busch. Pop the can, baby. Head to the mountains. That's what I'm doing right now. It's a good time. And as always, drink responsibly. This is going to be a great show. We are going to dive into a little bit of everything when it comes to Illinois, because that's where we're at. We're going to dive into the free agency and the Chicago Bears and what's going on. And we're also going to dive into springtime is here. Can you feel it? The juice is loose, right? You can feel it. You can feel it deep in my plums. That's right. It's time to go fishing, baby. Time to go fishing and time to go golfing. That's right. Hit that driving range, get the clubs out, dust them off. If you got some fishing gear, get your tackle box out. Let's go ahead and dust everything off. Make sure your line's spooled up and ready to go, because it's that time of year, baby. It is that time of year, and I'm excited. But let's dive into what's going on with the Chicago Bears. And if you're a Chicago Bears fan, oh my God, calm down. Holy shit. You guys are going absolutely berserk on Twitter, Facebook. What's going on? Why is Justin Fields not traded? Holy shit, he's got no trade value. Hold your horses, people. Remember when Aaron Rodgers said, everybody needs to relax. Relax. Because that's exactly what needs to happen. Let me just tell you what's going on in a nutshell. I'm not going to get totally deep into this, because you can go to The Score or ESPN or listen to any of those yahoos that have no idea. Speaking of that, right? So when I say those yahoos, and that's not just 670 The Score or ESPN 1000, but these guys, let me tell you something. The general managers of the NFL are secret squirrels. They do not leak any information out. I don't care if you're Ian Rappaport, if you're the head reporter for the Chicago Tribune and you cover the Chicago Bears, they don't leak any information. So any information that's out there on the media, whether it's on YouTube or Yahoo Sports or the Chicago Tribune or what you're hearing on 670 The Score or ESPN 1000, if you're in Chicago, half the time it's all speculation, because the secret squirrel society, the NFL, is really tight-lipped, and they don't disclose anything that they're doing, obviously, to jeopardize the operation of their franchise. It's that simple. And when it comes to Ryan Poles, this guy does his homework. That is why Justin Fields has not been traded, because the Bears aren't ready to trade him. Why? Because they're not 100% sold on Caleb Williams. I think they're 98% sold. I really do. But they're not 100% sure sold. So they're not going to go ahead and trade their quarterback without seeing Caleb Williams in a meeting for longer than 10 minutes. They're not going to release their quarterback without a pro day. They're not going to release their quarterback without any medical history. And that's just due diligence. And that's what's supposed to be done. And let me tell you how deep the Bears are doing in their due diligence. Bo Nix pro day was today. The only team that sent any personnel, well, a lot of teams sent personnel, but the only teams that sent a head coach was the Chicago Bears, and Matt Eberflus was there. That's how deep they're going into this. The number 7th ranked quarterback in the draft, our head coach is there. So understand that Ryan Poles knows what he's doing, and any information that gets leaked out into the internet, nobody has a clue. I know Ian Rappaport had a report that the Bears aren't ready to trade, which is probably the most logical that I can speculate. Adam Schefter says there was teams with connections that aren't interested. What's a connection, right? That's what I'd like to know. So when Adam Schefter says, well, a team was connected to the Chicago Bears and they went ahead and drafted, or they signed somebody else. What is the connection? Is that the brother's uncle's brother-in-law's best friend's roommate? I mean, anything is a connection, right? I've got a connection to the Chicago Bears, probably multiple connections to the Chicago Bears, but that's not, I'm not weighing anything on what they say as accurate because they don't know, right? I know the equipment manager for the Chicago Bears. If he tells me something, I don't go out and report it because he's not in a position to say anything, number one, but is that a connection? Is the equipment manager for the Chicago Bears a connection and that's your source? I would say yeah. But me doing my due diligence, do I report it? No, because I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson a long, long time ago. I was the one that reported that the Chicago Bears were going to hire Mike Martz as their offensive coordinator. And I broke it on Twitter and it blew up. What I didn't know, and my source was the son of the Chicago Bears, and what I didn't realize was the timetable was going to take 3 to 4 weeks for this to actually happen due to some contract clauses. Well, I got absolutely destroyed on Twitter. Well, long story short, the Bears did hire Mike Martz, and I was right the whole time, and I knew I was right the whole time. But, I couldn't reveal my source at the time. And that's part of this being one of these reporters when you're talking about the NFL and secret squirrel society, because you don't want to bury your source, number one. And number two, really outside of that, it's all speculation, so they can't really say what's factual because they don't want to blow their source. And, everything else is based on speculation and hearsay. And so if you're a Bears fan, just relax. Remember, Aaron Rodgers said, relax. But let's talk about what the Bears did. Jalen Johnson contract extension, which was huge. They had him under a franchise tag. You knew they were going to work something out. They did. They did a 4-year, $76 million deal, over $54 million guaranteed. He's worth it. Listen, Jalen Johnson, to me, is a shutdown corner. He is the longevity of our secondary. I think he's a leader, and he's going to do unbelievable going forward. I don't think he's a money guy per se. I know he kind of gives that perception. It's all been about the money for the last 2 years, but the guy performs, and that's the bottom line. And his teammates respect him, and wide receivers going against him definitely respect him. Patrick Scales, the long snapper, got his deal, which is awesome. Kevin Byard, this is an interesting one. A little bit older. I think he's going to turn 31 this year. He's going to be Eddie Jackson's replacement. Obviously, Eddie Jackson was not re-signed. But listen, this guy's good. Former Pro Bowler, had really, really good play in Tennessee for the Titans. I believe he's with the Philadelphia Eagles last year. They brought in a defensive coordinator, I think 4 or 5 games into the season, and it just really communication-wise wasn't great. And the Eagles didn't have a great secondary. I think he kind of took the brunt of it. But this guy's he's a baller. This guy's a baller. He's durable. Obviously, on Monday, the Bears signed DeAndre Swift, the running back, formerly from he got started with the Detroit Lions, was in Philadelphia last year. That was a 3-year, $24 million deal. Going to be a great compliment with Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. I do believe he'll get the majority of the carries. And just a strong running back. Agility is unbelievable. The guy can catch in the backfield. He can make plays. He's a good blocker. He's a good pass protector, good chip and peel guy. Really, really awesome. Jared Everett, free agent deal, tight end for the Bears. Shane Waldron's guy, our offensive coordinator. Knows exactly what this guy's all about. He's going to complement Cole Kmet really, really well. Everett fits the bill. He's not really known for his blocking, but he's good at making defenders miss and racking up yards after the catch. He's a great yak guy. Over 7 years in the NFL, he's got 284 receptions for 2,833 yards and 19 touchdowns. So really, really cool. Jonathan Owens, free safety that we had added from the Green Bay Packers, is an absolute freak of nature. Had an unbelievable year last year. I don't know how many tackles he had, but I think it definitely led the Green Bay Packers, I'm thinking, and possibly in the top 5 of the league. Unbelievable guys. Simone Biles' husband, obviously, just a good guy to have have on the team. So listen, if you're a Bears fan, calm down, my friends. Calm down. We're going to be okay. Let Ryan Poles do what he's got to do, and everything is going to work itself out. I promise you. So let's give it up for Ryan Poles. Anyway, let's dive into breaking out the lures, baby. Getting the bait caster out. Stringing up those bait casters. What line are you using? Running nylon? You got your jigs ready to go? You got your crankbaits ready to go? Listen, let's talk about the great state of Illinois and the fishing that's available if you live in Illinois. First of all, I believe if you're in Illinois right now, you should probably go get your fishing license. I believe April 1st maybe is the deadline or something like that for the new year, but just go get it. Listen, these guys, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, they do not mess around, man. I've been fishing quite a bit, and I've seen them out probably in the last 3 times that I've been out on the Kankakee River. So, and they're checking. And you know what? They should be. That's their job. And you know, they're making sure nobody's out there poaching and, you know, doing stuff that, you know, if you're into the wildlife and into, you know, conservative and it's just, I think it's important. It really, really is. So don't give them a hard time. They're just doing their job. Do your job and go out and get your damn license. It's really, really cheap. So, but let's talk about the fishing and where you can go in Illinois and what's kind of the best. And, you know, if you want to make a trip out of it, we're going to talk about where you can actually stay. So let's get started. If you're near Chicago, Lake Michigan, Belmont Harbor, it's a really, really good place. There's quite a few charters that go out of there. Why not? Chicago Fishing Charters, Kingfisher Charters is a good one. Skyline Fishing Charters is a good one. All dock off Belmont Harbor. You can do day-long excursions off of Lake Michigan, catch a variety of salmon, trout, tons more. I mean, that lake's loaded with fish. I've seen guys catch humongous salmon and trout right off the harbor. It's crazy. So if you're near Belmont Harbor, you've got the Hotel Versi, located in vibrant Lincoln Park neighborhood, short walk from Belmont Harbor, actually. Quick historical lodging experience and just a really cool place to stay if you ever get a chance to go there. You've also got the Majestic Hotel, which is right a few steps away from Belmont Harbor. Great accommodations, fishing getaway for Chicago. European style boutique hotel. It's just a really cool place to go because, you know, in that area too, there's a ton of popular restaurants and bars and shopping. So, you know, if you bring the wife and you want to do some fishing off the pier at Lake Michigan, you know, she can go out and get hopped up on a few martinis and go shopping. Why not, right? So there's just a ton of stuff to do. I mean, you're talking Lincoln Park Zoo. You could make a weekend out of going fishing and head to Chicago, you know, take a walk to Wrigleyville. Just make sure, you know what I mean? Do your due diligence, right? It's springtime, Chicago, crime. It's a bit dangerous. I would just, you know, make sure you're not really out after dark walking. I would take an Uber, but that's just me. But listen, Marion, Illinois, Devil's Kitchen Lake of Egypt. Head south for some quiet fishing getaway. Marion, Illinois, home of a beautiful 110-acre reservoir known as Devil's Kitchen Lake. Rainbow trout, yellow perch, largemouth bass are among the fish that settle here. Stunning foliage. Devil's Kitchen Lake sets the tone for a relaxing getaway. I haven't been there. Now, I have a few miles east of there been to Lake Egypt, a very popular fishing destination. The lake technically is private owned, but public access is allowed to fish for bluegill, largemouth bass, and crappie. Lake locals and visitors alike love to hang out at Max Lake of Egypt Marina, where you can rent a pontoon boat and just settle in for snacks and drinks. But listen, there's nothing better than renting a pontoon boat on Lake of Egypt. And just dropping for bluegill and bass, it's a great time. I've been there. It's a good time. Where to stay? There's a cool, I believe it's Jessen's Bed and Breakfast Restaurant. It's really cool. Located just 15 miles from Devil's Kitchen Lake. It's a quaint R or B&B. Offers amenities such as massages, a library, a full on-site restaurant, and outdoor space. It's really, really cool. And Old Squat Inn Log Cabin Bed and Breakfast. That thing is like from the 1800s. But it's really cool. Offers lake views, split fence, wraparound porches. It's just kind of one of those getaways where it's quiet, tranquil. You can do some really, really good fishing on both of those lakes. And then obviously, near there, near Devil's Kitchen Lake is Honker Hill Vineyard, family-owned winery. So again, if you're taking the wife or your spouse or whatever, you can you can do some fishing and she'll just get hopped up on some wine. Not a bad deal. Offers an array of semi-sweet, dry wines produced from homegrown grapes. Stroll through the vineyard and enjoy the live music on the weekends. They do have a ton of bands. I just looked at the calendar. They've got a lot of local bands that play there. The marina is chock full of wonderful restaurants like Tequila's Mexican Restaurant, authentic Mexican cuisine, live music, 17th Street Bar and Grill, which boasts renowned barbecue. We're talking Food Network accolades. I'm not kidding you. 17th Street Bar and Grill were featured on the Food Network not that long ago, and the barbecue there is unbelievable. So get out and go to Marion, Illinois, right? Do some fishing. Next thing you go to Springfield, Illinois, Lake Springfield. Enjoy a getaway near the state capitol, which is always fun if you've never done that and toured the state capitol. It's kind of cool. But listen, Lake Springfield's awesome. You fish out of your boat, jet ski, array of activities on the lake. Abundance of largemouth bass, bluegill, and catfish. I believe that's one of the best catfish lakes in the state of Illinois, Lake Springfield. Tons of places to stay in Springfield, obviously, country and in suites. I believe there's one within about 4 miles of the marina. And it's a country inn and suites, but it's cool. I've been near there. There's a shuttle service to the Abraham Lincoln Capital Airport also, so if you're coming in out of state, you're good to go. The Belmont by Wyndham, which is right there, obviously, swimming pool, Wi-Fi, blah, blah, blah. But it's cool. Lake Springfield's awesome, and Springfield's awesome. You have plenty of activities to enjoy. You can rent jet skis, you can rent kayaks, and listen, kayak fishing for me is one of the greatest fishing experiences you can have. And let's talk about kayak fishing in the Kankakee River, because that's where I'm from. The Kankakee River is probably one of the greatest fishing spots in the state of Illinois. And the reason why is because it's got depth, it's got rocks, it's shallow, it's got a little bit of everything. And if you're kayaking on the low side of the Kankakee River, you want to talk about a smallmouth bass heaven and walleye. That's where you want to go. Kankakee River, spring or fall, smallmouth fishing, largemouth bass fishing is spot on. I mean, it is unbelievable. And it's great because the Kankakee River, really, you could fish really anything you want when it comes to lures, right? So it depends what you want to throw and obviously what time of year and the colors matter, but small cranks, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, creature baits, wacky rigs, floating worms, you name it, you'll catch them in the Kankakee River as long as you kind of have an idea of how to fish a river. Then you're gonna be okay. But when it comes to spring fishing, right? They do say that those are your 7 best lures: small cranks, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, creature baits, wacky rigs, and floating worms. Small cranks. The deal with those is you're pushing up out of the depths in the main lake. You're starting to push into the bays, creeks, and major pockets. Sometimes you want to go to the bank, not all the time, but that's where you want to be with a small crankbait. You want to entice the fish, right, with what you're doing. You want to run flat sides, lipless cranks, small shad bodies. Flat-sided crankbait generally is a subtle, just a kind of a subtle wiggle. It doesn't make a ton of noise. You can sneak into the strike zone where the fish are moving up and into dingy to clear water, small profile. It's really, really, it's a good lure to throw. Spiro Little Johns, Rapala OG Tinies, Berkeley Fritsides, Strike King, Chick Magnet Jr. They've all been staples in that pre-spawn spring bite. You know what I'm saying? Flat-sided crankbait. You really can't go wrong. Lipless crankbaits are cool. You know, you can cover water. You can cover water with them. Probably better than any fishing lure out there. You can throw it, number one, you can rip it a mile. And then you can burn it fast or slow. It doesn't really matter because it always runs upright. And it's just a small vibration, little smidge of a clicking noise coming off those. You know, but in spring fishing, you know, if you're looking to cover a ton of water, you can just throw a lipless crankbait 8 miles downstream and rip it across the water, and you're probably going to catch something. You know, these guys have been throwing these lipless crankbaits in tournaments in the spring constantly. You know, the Bill Lewis rattle trap, the Strike King red eye shad, Cotton Cordell, Super Spot. You know, all those guys are you really can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. So then you got your shad body crankbaits, the Rapala Shad Wrap, Rapala DT6, you know, the SPRO Rock Crawler, Strong Wigglewort, and the Berkeley Money Badger. So those kind of guys, kind of the dive to the depth range off the bank, very unobtrusive. The baits can find fish. The baits can get bites. The sub, you know, just small action. But really, you know, when the bass are coming up to feed before spawn, these baits are just dynamite. They will clean house. If you're in the right spot at the right time with these bad boys, you can clean house. Some of the best days of pre-spawn have been on small shad crankbaits. So, you know, get those SPRO rock crawlers out, those Rapala Shad Wraps. If you're into the pre-spawn, you can really rock and roll on those things. The other thing is chatterbaits, right? Like the Z-Man chatterbait and the other vibrating jigs. Strike King Thunder Crickets is a good one. Berkeley Slobber Knockers, one of my favorites. You can, again, cover a ton of water with those crankbaits. Could just be a little careful. They can be obtrusive. And, you know, they're not really conductive to treble hooks. Chatterbait really excels in grass and cold water that is warming. And it works well in clear water and dirty water alike. It really doesn't matter. And, you know, it's a powerful tool. Just, you know, be careful with it. Bladed jigs, anytime you want to cover water. Not sure what type of cover or water clarity you might face. It's a good starting point. Bladed jigs. It's a good starting point. If you really don't know where you're at and what the clarity is and you know what type of cover you're in, grab that bladed jig. It's a nice thing to throw. Works really good in the pre-spawn, late into post-spawn. Just a flat out fish catcher, man, honestly. Don't be afraid to downsize or use bright colors if the conditions call for it. The red crawl chatterbait has become a very popular choice in the spring. So that's the red craw chatterbait, red craw color. Spinnerbait, one of my favorites. The old staple, baby. Catches everything. Variety of situations, too, and really any kind of water depth. It fishes equally well in shallow water as it does in deep water. I mean, it's really simple. You could be in wood or vegetation alike. It doesn't matter. When you want the big bite in the spring, muddy or, you know, stained water, a good spinnerbait. You know, again, that's one of those things you could whip around, cover a lot of water. It doesn't really matter how fast or slow you crank it. It's probably going to work for you. One of the times you want to really use that when the spring rains come in and the lake levels and the river levels are up and the debris levels up in the river banks, you know, everything's kind of piled up. A lot of lures get fouled out with debris. Spinnerbait is, you know, one of those lures that you'll usually fish clean through there and catch a ton of fish. That's right. So spinnerbait usually fishes clean, right? It doesn't typically snag up. Especially if you're ripping it, you can kind of feel where you're at with it. That's just an all around great lure. Spinnerbait shallow in the pre-spawn, and then again deeper in the post-spawn around bush and ledges after the fish move out of the reciprocate from the spawn. So that's what you want to do with the spinnerbait. Spinnerbait shallow in the pre-spawn, running a little deeper in the post-spawn. Buzzbait, again, one of my favorites, Kankakee River Killer. Buzzbaits are great, especially for shallow and about the spawning situation. Just got done spawn, still shallow. Buzzbait can be one of those lures that gets you a really big bite. Not to mention some heart-pounding action because it's top water and there's nothing like that frickin' smallmouth jumping out of the water and attacking that buzzbait. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've done it in the Kankakee River fishing out of a kayak. Actually, that's kind of really all I roll out of a kayak is a buzzbait. And I'll tell you what, you can whip that thing around. You can cover a lot of water. You can reel it slow, reel it fast, trance-inducing gurgle until that thing the bass just explode on it. It's unbelievable. Again, it covers water quickly, agitates aggressive spawners and roamers. They can hear it, they can see it, they can find it. It's really, really good stuff. Really clean break too. Dynamic bait catches a lot of fish. I'm telling you. The creature bait. I don't have a ton of experience with those. Basically all plastic. In the pre-spawn, whether you're talking about pulling it on a Carolina rig on points and humps in the pre-spawn or pitching it or likely spawning areas where bass might be guarding a nest. And even later in the spring when the bass are guarding their fry and cover like bushes, laydowns, grass mats, creature bait can really punch through and flip into cover. That's the thing with those. You can flip them good and you can get them in the spot, especially where the bass are spawning. So, obviously, those are your Zoom lizards, your Zoom brush hogs, the brush crawls, strike king, rage bugs. All those guys are great ones. They really are. And then, obviously, the wacky rig. Everybody knows about the wacky rig. You can pretty much throw it whenever you want. Arguably one of the most user-friendly lure to use in the spring. I mean, I'm not shitting you. You really just cast it out, let it sink, do its magic, shimmy, and watch your line and get picked off and start moving off. It's time to rock and roll, baby. Whack them and stack them. It's that easy. These wacky rigs, really, shallow water, deep water, really doesn't matter. Shallow, I like to run them in shallow and skip it a lot. On the bottom, you want to pop it a little bit, pop and lock. But these wacky rigs, man, you can get wacky on them. The floating worms, here's another one. I don't use a ton of floating stuff in the river. That's just me. Really just a weightless straight tail worm, offset worm hook. Often it's referred to as the floating worm, although most of them don't float, and that's okay without a weight on it. You can still cast it, but it's hard. It's hard to cast, and really you can't cover a ton of ground with them. You often get a strike after one of these darts and just, goes out of sight and then the line pops, you just want to pop. Usually you'll get something. You'll get a bite there. The floating worm is another addictive, fun, and stealthy way to creep along and catch bass, even in the ultra clear water, because you can see it work. Not the greatest in dirty water or murky water to me. And if you are going to use them in the springtime, I recommend going with a pink or an orange color. Grab a Zoom trick worm, maybe a bubblegum color even. Something along those lines usually gets a little action. And again, probably something you want to use in the pre-spawn. And really, that's about it. I don't think I'd ever use them in the post-spawn. So anyway, again, it's time to go fishing, and if you got a boat, let's remember to do your maintenance on it, right? That if you put it away without doing the oil change, let's get the oil changed on that outboard. These things are not cheap to fix. If you didn't put your battery on a tender, go ahead and get that tested, make sure everything's good to go. Test your electronics, test your safety equipment, Make sure all your anchors are ready to go, because the one thing you don't want to do when you get out on the river, especially in a fast moving river like the Kankakee River, is you don't want to get out there and forget that you got a problem, right? You didn't test the battery. You're trying to fire that thing up after shutting it down, or the trolling motors ain't working right, or something in the electronics ain't working right, and it could have been avoided had you would have just checked. So just do your due diligence when it comes to fishing, especially when it comes to the boats, and make sure you and your boys are ready to go so you can have a great day on the water. Now, that being said, thank you, and enjoy your days of fishing, especially in Illinois. And let's not forget about the Iroquois River, too. It is a catfish monster. You can catch a ton of catfish and a ton of walleye and smallmouths in the Iroquois River. Also, that feeds into the Kankakee. But let's talk about golfing, baby. Let's do it. If you're like me, I love fishing and I love golfing. I really, really do. In fact, I love them equally. And golfing is one of those things where I'm just not great at it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter, because it's just about the experience of getting out there. You want to swing that club. You want to make that connect on that iron. You hear that crisp shot. You tank one out 310 yards off your driver on the first hole. It's going to be a great day. Not to mention, as always, you're drinking Busch lattes and just having fun. That's what golfing's all about. It really is. And whether you're a good golfer or an average golfer or a shitty golfer, one thing is for sure, it's all fun. But let's talk about the top golf courses you can play in Illinois. And this is from Golf Digest. So we're going to go ahead and rattle them off here. Cog Hill, I've been there. Cog Hill Golf and Country Club. Dubs Dread, course number 4. Dubs Dread. Tour Pros, Critical, Reese Jones, remounting Cog Hill number 4, insisting it's too hard for high handicappers. And you know what? It's hard. Huge bunkers. That thing is a monster, but it is a must play if you're in Illinois. You have to go to Cog Hill and play Dubs Dread. I believe Tiger Woods has the record on that course to this day. The other one is Silvis, Illinois, TPC, Deer Run. Thing was the John Deere Classic began in 1971 in the Quad Cities Open, named for the 4 cities, Davenport, Bettendorf, Rock Island, and Moline, that borders the Iowa and Illinois sides of the Mississippi River, respectively. It moved its current home to TPC Deer Run in 2000, layout designed at the time by former PGA Tour player D.A. Weibring and design partner Steve Wolfhard. I mean, that course is unbelievable. It's really nice. It's a championship course. I believe it's plays right to left. Got some dog legs. It's over 7,200 yards of just unbelievable holes. It's a show stunner. It's an absolute show stunner. The other one is the Glen Club in Glenview, Illinois. I played that last year. It's really, really good. Just north of Chicago. Tom Fazio designed, built on land that for over 70 years was a naval air base. Fazio transformed it, that was once flat land, into rolling layout and underluding greens and abundance of national vegetation. Scenic course features vistas of the Chicago skyline in the distance. It's really, really cool to play. And that's in Glenview, Illinois. Stonewall Orchard Golf Club in Grays Lake, Illinois. Haven't been there. A lot of my buddies have, and they say it's unbelievable. I believe there's 12 water holes on it out of 18, so it's not one of those, if you're just an average guy and, you're on a budget and you're counting your money in golf balls, that's not the place to play, because you're going to lose about a dozen of them. But it's built along some small lakes, gives it a real serene feel. Just tons and tons of, I believe, par 4s. Just really, really good. It requires some solid ball striking if you're going to play that course, though. I'm just telling you. The other one's in Wheaton, Illinois. Cantina Golf. That's right. That's a former PGA Tour player's current on-course TV commentator. Colt Knost won the U.S. Amateur Public in 2007, where he played there. Really cool. It's a 36-hole facility, so you've got ample holes to shoot there. Distinct nines best described as Woodside, Lakeside, and Hillside. Fort 9 is Youth Links, and it's a great that they say that youth course is really really awesome. Good for juniors, ages 8 to 15. Eagle Ridge Resort and Spa in Galena, Illinois. We talked about Galena. That's a great course. I haven't played it. It's a par 4, 18-holer. It's got 180 feet of elevation change from tee to green. So it's really cool. It's a really good layout. Also has a 9-hole course that's really good too. So go check that out in Galena, Eagle Ridge Resort and Spa. Mistwood Golf Club, Romeoville. I believe it's, got renovated maybe 2 years ago, but it was big money, multi-million-dollar renovation. Layout is really, really good. It's about an hour southwest of downtown Chicago. There are 20 sod face pot bunkers, enhanced links, field of course, punishing wayward shots. Fairways have plenty of contours and are guarded by numerous water hazards. I believe that one has 10 water hazards. I haven't played it, but I heard it's really good. Public course too, by the way. So not sure of the cost on that. Weaver Ridge Golf Club, Peoria, Illinois. I have played that one. It's really, really cool. Ranked 100 greatest public list 6 years in a row from the mid-2000s, reaching as high as number 37 from 2005 to 2006 in the country. Tree line, it's stacked. If you don't hit it straight, it's going to be a problem. It's thick. The tree lines there along the fairways are thick. Plenty of elevation changes. Some scenic downhill tee shots. Some tricky uphill approaches. It's just a really, really cool course. Weaver Ridge Golf Course in Peoria, Illinois. Thunderhawk Golf Course. That's in Beach Park, Illinois. That's between Chicago and Milwaukee in northern Illinois. Thunderhawk is a Robert Trent Jones Jr. design with generous fairways, guarded by numerous bunkers and tall trees. Wind can be a significant factor there. That's what I've heard about it. I haven't played it, but that's one of those courses, public course, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm just looking at some pictures of this thing, and the bunker layout on these holes is insane. It's crazy. You've got some other ones here. Mount Prospect Golf Course, Mount Prospect Golf Club. It just had a $9 million reservation that was completed in 2015. Classic design dating back to 1929. Course offers a chance to enjoy old school design elements like canted fairways, multi-level greens. It's a heck of a bargain too. I hear it's pretty cheap to play. Pine Meadow Golf Club in Mundelein, Illinois. That was opened in '86. Best new public course awarded from the USA Today. Northern Illinois layout continues to provide intriguing design variety at a reasonable rate. Well bunkered track. There are 86 in total. Opens 86. Holy cow. Opens with a playable front nine, followed by a more challenging back nine with water elevation changes. Course was formerly ranked 100 greatest in the public list, reaching as high as 28 in 2003 and 2004. So, again, there's just a ton of really, really good golf courses to play in the state of Illinois. There really is. Here in Kankakee County, we've got some good ones. Obviously, you've got the Elks in, I believe I'm not sure if it's Aroma Park or Kankakee. It's considered really, really fun, challenging course. I got a buddy that has a membership there. It's just a really good, fun course. You've got the old school Shamrock, which is a par 3 course. Really fun to play, especially if it's windy outside. You're hitting some short shots. If you're an iron guy, you want to go to Shamrock Golf Course in Kankakee. It's really good. Some honorable mentions that, you've got Aspen Ridge here in Bourbonnais, Illinois. That course is maturing very well. Still young. It's got some really challenging holes. It's got a couple par 5s. It's just a good course to play. Tends to get a little busy on the weekends, though. But again, really cool. And then another one is probably one of my favorites out in Grant Park, Mini Menez Golf Course. elevated greens, a lot of elevations. The greens are awesome. They play great. A lot of bunkers. Just a fun course to play. And usually it's not that busy. A little pricey to play, but it's well worth it. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for listening to the Andy Mazo Show and show number 8. You guys stay blessed and have a great day. And as always, enjoy your life.